back to the American Dream. As you know, all housing markets are local, so I wanted to get into a real estate roundtable with a group of experts that I trust in each of their niche micro markets. We have John Reeves, who's our military expert. Brian Lewis, welcome to the show here. John rejoining us. Thanks, man.
Morning.
Brian Lewis, our coastal market expert, and Tim Skoglund coming down, I guess, from the North County area, and it's good to have you on the show.
Thanks, Mark.
So, you know, as you guys know, we try and get people to engage, educate, empower, and engage, and so I like to make sure we answer the questions that we get from you. Hopefully you guys can help me with this next one. So this is one we got from CraigSewing.com. Craig, what are the most important things to look for when developing a real estate and mortgage plan? Timmy in San Diego, I'll let you guys hop in here. You guys are real estate experts. You run your own brokerages. I'm going to start here because my background is in residential mortgage banking, not so much involved in it anymore, but I've closed thousands of deals. So the first thing you got to do is you got to get the mortgage plan. I think you have to make sure that you're qualified. Anybody can go out there and say, well, that house is exciting. I can envision living there. It's my dream home. But if you can't qualify for it, then you just get your hopes up. And you guys have probably seen this over the last few years of people that got pumped up for a house and then couldn't go through.
Or couldn't afford the payment. I think that, to me, the first thing that came to my mind is make sure you have your budget set up for what your payment maximum is, and then work backwards from there, as opposed to going to a mortgage broker and saying, what can I get approved for?
Sure.
You know, because that's what got us into trouble in 2004, 5, and 6 is, oh, you're approved for $1 million. Okay, let's do it.
Well, you could fog a mirror and get approved for $1 million back in 2006. The pendulum swung to the other side now. Now it's almost too difficult.
Right.
What have you seen, Tim?
Yeah, and I think it's important when you align yourself with a mortgage professional that they not only just tell you what you're approved for, but put real life monthly payments attached to that.
Yep.
You know, in my area, we have Mello-Roos, we have HOA fees. So not everybody says they think, hey, it's just this number. It's not just that number. Understand what you're going to be paying in taxes. What's the whole nut per month, and back away from maybe that top end of where the bank says, hey, we'll give you this much, but this fits into the family budget.
It fits in the budget, but it also, you know, there's a difference between a good mortgage banker and a bad one, and certainly a good one and a great one, and it's actually going deeper and saying, well, what if you did lose your job? Do you have liquid reserves? Do you have things that you could do? Those are also important questions to ask.
I think I want to kind of dovetail on what Brian said is you need to plan your work, plan it, and then work the plan. So make sure your whole financial house is in order first. Then, like you said, backwards plan the entire project, because it is. Buying a house is a project.
And John, you do a lot of VA, right? So at VA, they're pretty strict about, you know, when you're in the military, you have to stick within your budget, because if you don't, I mean, they're really very, very conscious. Any of the VA buyers that I've ever worked with are very conscious of not going over what they can afford, because if they default or fall behind.
100% correct. Tim hit it really hard when he said HOA and Mello-Roos, those are things that we first have their mortgage down. We have to look at the outside costs of buying a house that they may not have planned for. So totally VA, they're all about, I have a finite amount of money and this is all I can afford.
I do think a good thing is that you brought up 2006. Again, if you had a pulse, you were getting financed. Now you don't have that ability anymore. But I mean, you practically have to prove now that you don't need a mortgage to get one. I mean, there's people that have $500,000 in the bank and can't get a $400,000 loan. Tell me how that makes sense. So the point I'm making here is that you're probably not going to qualify if it's not affordable or comfortable, because the banks are making it to where people that should qualify and are comfortable aren't getting it. So there's a nice little litmus test, I think, protection, certainly working with these guys, and they have mortgage bankers they can align you with. So hopefully we answer your question there. I want to get into a national story here from CNBC that I saw this week for you guys to comment on here on the local level. They keep the sound, but we're not, so read the lines. So new home sales were up. If you can read, you picked up on the message of that one. We got a couple more videos, so we're going to have to hold our breath every time they come up. But new home sales were up. So I guess let's bring it into San Diego. Starting with you, Tim. What are you seeing as activity? It's spring now. We're in May. It's school season. It seems like we get a lot more activity this time of year. What's happening in your market?
Yeah, we're seeing my folks up in Del Sur, Santa Luz, Forest Ranch area. They're really evaluating the market from a standpoint of, if I buy a new house, there's still some things that need to be done. Landscaping, upgrades, window treatments, the other particulars that they want in the home. And then they're evaluating the resale market. Although inventory is very slim, occasionally we're getting lucky. This week I have an Oklahoma City relo. I've got a doctor coming in with her family from Oklahoma City. We looked at some homes in Del Sur that were all new construction, but we got lucky and found a house in Forest Ranch where it's all dialed in and it really fits her parameter list that we went over from the beginning, and that's going to work.
Brian,
So,
what do you think?
I like what your prior guest Sam was talking about. When he talked about inventory levels. As agents, we have to get creative for our clients. So I just put something in escrow on a holiday on an off-market property. 2 of my escrows are off-market properties.
Yeah.
So we're having to get super creative and go outside of the box and knock on doors and say, hey, I like to tell clients, just pick the neighborhood. I'll go knock the neighborhood and we'll find you
So if
something.
you're a buyer,
Yeah.
you have to be empowered with some creative ideas to go to find the deal that's not
Right.
on the market. And
Right.
you actually spoke about that earlier in the show.
Yeah, I mean, we'll actually walk up sometimes with a flag and a picture of the veteran saying they want to buy a home.
Right.
They've served our military. They just got back from long deployment. Want to buy a house. Can't find anything out there. Are you willing to entertain this?
Yeah.
Great results. You know,
Yeah.
it's a warm. It's not some cold telemarketer, cold call. You're knocking on their door. You're presenting a picture of them. Very warm. So.
I think it's incredibly important to paint a picture for sellers
Yep.
in this market.
Well, Tim, like your market is one that does have a lot of new homes.
Yep.
The rest of the county, there's not a whole lot of
As
new
a
homes.
newly built home.
Yeah, newly
new
built.
construction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Del Sur, great area. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all new builds. There's nothing like that anymore.
What do you think of buying those?
they're good. I mean, you have the school district as the primary draw.
Sure.
So, and then aside from that, the amenities that we have in the area, the sports programs, the parks, it's all
Pre-planned.
family driven.
Yeah,
So,
it's
we're
great.
getting that dual income family that's coming in there and settling in there for the next 12, 15, 17 years as the kids
Buying a
matriculate
new
through
home
school.
isn't like buying a car. When you drive it off the lot, you just lost all its half its value.
Right.
Buying a new home, it's kind of cool. You have that new home smell.
Yeah.
You can actually pick out a lot of things. It's
Yeah.
great, to kind of choose your options of the home, and it can hold its value. It's good to know that they're building.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll continue to do that. I want to look at another video. Everyone, cross your fingers and see if we can do this one from CNBC.
Along with the April flowers, more of these sprang up in the nation's neighborhoods. Home sales rising 1.3% from March. While not a lot, it was the first monthly gain of the year.
Inventory limitation has been a holdback, but now we see some increase in the inventory. Very good news.
A lack of homes for sale has been plaguing the market and pushing prices higher at an unhealthy pace when compared to demand. Single-family housing starts did not improve much in April, and millions of potential sellers are stuck in place, owing more on their mortgages than their homes are worth.
If we weren't stuck in this position, if we weren't underwater on our current mortgage, we would be able to buy a larger home.
When we first met the Royals 2 years ago, they were trapped under their mortgage. Now, rising prices have them back above water, but they are still stuck.
That's actually an interesting finish there.
Yeah.
Talks about the homeowner that was underwater now back, right? There's 18.8% of homeowners, I think a study was a week ago, that now 18.8 don't have equity, but it was at 35%. So that number's come down pretty significantly. Let's speak to the distressed homeowner, the one that's underwater. Are you still seeing that in your area?
We are. I mean, I think all three of us are seeing it. We've met with people and counseled with them over the last few years where, with the low interest rates, if they're on an adjustable, maybe they had a fixed portion that rolled into an adjustable mortgage, they're able to hold on right now. The payment's very low. They're tied to a rate that's very low, but as rates eventually move up, that payment's going to move up, and that's really going to shatter the family budget, not allow them to continue to make those payments. So we're seeing it. And not only do you have to get back to even, there's realtor fees, there's closing costs. If you're trying to refinance, the bank's not giving you 100% loan to value on the property, so you have to have some equity in there. So it's not just making it back to even. We got to be beyond that
Building
level.
some equity, yep.
And we're not quite there yet.
What about people in the coastal market?
100% agree. I ran some numbers before I came. It's interesting in PB, there aren't any properties in a contingent status, which means a short sale
sale,
status.
yeah, it's
There are
true.
none.
Wow.
Inventory is still very low, but in La Jolla, there's quite a few. There's like at least 10 out of the, I think something like 25 that are in pending right now are contingent status, which means I don't know what that really means. I'm trying to figure out make sense of that.
Who knows anymore
Yeah.
what anything means? But it's
Right?
it
I
really is
100%
interesting to me.
Agree though that people are they're still in those adjustable rate mortgages where they've got a super low payment right now. So why try to sell?
I got
Just
real
wait
estate
for the
that I
market to
own
catch up.
that right now the payments are ridiculously low
Right.
on some duplexes.
3.5% interest. Or
I mean, the
something.
payments
Yeah.
are nothing. It's increased cash flow. So anyone who says an adjustable rate is this awful thing, not necessarily.
You gotta know
I
what you're
mean,
doing.
Yeah,
Know
it's
the
like
tools.
it's like a gun. You give a gun to him, you get scared. You give it to the Marine here, it's okay. It's gonna be safe unless you're the bad guy. That's how I look at an adjustable rate mortgage. But you know, another thing about the people that are underwater, if you've survived to now, keep
Just
going.
push
through.
So I
Push
think when
through.
we see
Just
people
hang
that
on.
are underwater that are now short selling, it's probably because something happened. The sequester happened, or someone lost their job or got sick.
Yeah.
And it's not, well, the market crashed and everybody's doing this. It's, man, I fought as hard as I could, but now I've got issues. And of course, if you're in that situation, visit us online. We'd love to help you. CraigSewing.com, and I'll connect you with these guys depending on what market you're in. I want to get to one more video here that we got from CNBC. Again, these are national stories, but it's so important that we break them down to the local levels for you. So let's get to the last one here, guys.
Big news here is we're breaking a downward trend. Sales are actually trending up a little bit. The thing is that the core issues that were keeping sales down have not changed at all. So we're still looking at a situation where we have anemic new household formations due largely to job and wage problems. We've still got inventory issues. Even though inventory is up, we're not seeing increases in inventory where we really need it, which is those first-time home buyer price ranges. And the reason for that is that's just not what builders are building. And so many of those folks are still underwater.
Exactly.
When we look at 9 to 10 million people underwater, the largest percentage of those are those first-time home buyers, and they're stuck, particularly now that the Mortgage Debt Forgiveness Relief Act expired and hasn't been renewed yet. They can't short sell. And, of course, last is credit.
So she keeps saying first-time home buyer, but then she's talking about the first-time home buyer selling their first home. So that's kind of confusing. You should be able to short sell. You should be able to get modified. We can help you. We just spoke to if you're underwater and you need help. But speak to the first-time home buyer. What do they need to know?
I mean, most of our market is first-time military.
A VA buyer.
Huge for the first time. Most important thing about the first-time home buyer is go in with the right expectations. You may not get a home on the first try. You know, it's a little tougher right now
Grind it
because
out.
there are so few homes available. Like they talked to the inventory, it's a little more challenging for a first-timer.
Can you be a first-time home buyer in the coastal market?
Yeah, I want to say yes very badly. I really do. But the median, what's closed in the last 30 days in PB is approaching $1 million.
It's getting tougher.
Median price. What's closed
Great for the move-up
in
buyer.
La Jolla is $2 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the inventory levels are coming up in the higher end
that
market.
market is on fire.
But it's still very, very tight in the sub-$1 million.
So you got the first-time home buyer here. You have the different markets. He's a VA guy. He should come into your market with those guys.
Right.
Coastal market, move-up buyers. You got a lot of money, but first-time home buyer. You're a good market for that.
Yeah, well, I think we're seeing a couple different trends in my market. Certainly the baby boomer that now has kids that have moved on are selling that big home. We're selling that home that they either own outright or have a very small mortgage because they've worked to pay that down. And they're either, unfortunately, maybe mom or dad has passed and we're left with one parent. That parent's moving in and then supplementing that household budget every month.
No, that's great information, guys. I love the roundtable. First time we've done the real estate roundtable. Couldn't have picked a better group of experts. I want to give your websites real quick, if we can, starting with Tim Skoglund, SkoglandRealEstate.com, out of the North County Marketplace. If you want to connect with Tim, go there. Certainly great information. We got ThinkBryan.com, Brian Lewis, coastal market expert, ThinkBryan.com, and then also John Reeves, which is ReefPointRealty.com. All right, great information, guys. Appreciate it. Covered a lot with you today. We had politicians on here, financial guys, real estate guys. What are we doing here every Saturday morning? It's the same thing we do every day at 6 p.m. on KCBQ. Is talking about the things that are happening out there in your lives and really telling you what you can do about it. Why does it matter to me? And what can I do today? And so hopefully you learned a lot today. But the most important takeaway, we got a team of experts. They've been in here. They can help you. Go to CraigSewing.com. Tune in this week at 6 p.m. on KCBQ. And next week, Saturday morning, 10 a.m., giving you that street smart advice. Have a great weekend, San Diego.